Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending today. My name is Kristen Soprano. I am a career consultant here with the Center for Career Development, and I'm very excited to welcome you all to our informational webinar today for the CLAS case competition. This is the second time we've been doing this case competition, and we hope that we're going to have a lot of exciting information to share with you to help get you excited as well about participating. I am also joined today by my teammate, Lisa Famularo, who is also a career consultant with the Center for Career Development. Both of our roles focus specifically on working with students within the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So this is a case competition that we have put together to provide you as CLAS students an opportunity to really focus on showcasing those unique skill sets that come with being a liberal arts and sciences major. Before we get started today, though, I'd like to go over just a few housekeeping items that are going to allow you to better participate in today's webinar. You should see your attendee interface on your computer desktop, which is going to be in the upper right-hand corner. You're listening in using your computer speaker system by default. However, if you would prefer to join over the phone, you can just select the telephone in the audio pane, and the dial-in information will then be displayed for you. You will also have the opportunity to submit text questions by typing your questions into the questions panes of the control panel. Lisa will be monitoring that for me throughout the presentation. So if there's anything specifically pertinent to what I'm talking about at that particular moment, she will interject to ask your questions. Otherwise, we may just save all questions for the end of the presentation during the question and answer period. Once you leave today's webinar, you will be directed to an evaluation for the presentation, and we would appreciate if you would complete that to provide any feedback that you have regarding today's information. And today's presentation is also being recorded, and it will be emailed to you and all webinar registrants within 24 hours of today. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, the two presenters today will be myself, Kristen Soprano, as well as Lisa Famularo. And what we're going to be doing is talking a little bit more first about what is a case competition, as we recognize that not everybody is familiar with what these are. So we'll break down that a little bit further for you. We'll then also review some specific dates and deadlines related to this specific case competition. We'll also provide you with a little bit more insight into the eligibility requirements and logistics of the competition itself. And we'll also provide you with some information regarding how the judging will be structured, as well as prizes for the winners. So,
great. Hi.
So let me go ahead and turn it over to Lisa right now to tell you a little bit more about the case competition.
All right, hello everyone. As Chris mentioned, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what a case competition is, because we realize that some of you may have participated in many competitions before, and for some of you this might be the first time. So on the screen we have a definition of what a case competition is that kind of includes three parts. So the first part says, a case competition is an event where teams receive a written case about a real or hypothetical company and have a limited period of time to work on it. During this period, the teams must identify the most prominent issues facing the company and develop a strategy to address these key issues in order to help the company achieve their goals. Teams are not expected to be experts on the case material. Rather, they're expected to use the information provided in the case plus some outside research that they do to form a strategy that they will present to a panel of judges at the end of the competition. So to summarize, a case competition is an opportunity for you as a group of students to really showcase your skills and knowledge. You'll be faced with a challenge that a company is facing, whether it's real or made up, and you'll be able to kind of identify what you think are the key steps that that company needs to take in order to achieve the goals they have set related to some of those challenges that they're facing. And in particular, like the second paragraph says, you're not expected to be an expert on the case material before leading into this case. Rather, you're just expected to really synthesize the information that you're provided in that case and do some of your own outside research, whether that's online or in any other really manner that you can think of, and combine all of that information to present your final solution. And just a couple of words about what winning strategies usually entail. Winning strategies are usually relevant, practical, creative, and inclusive. So that kind of means you want to make sure that you're approaching the situation from all angles, being as creative as you possibly can, and making sure that the solution is actually realistic for the company to achieve those goals that they had set for themselves. Some of the benefits of participating in a case competition, first and foremost, are being able to apply the knowledge that you're learning in your classes to a real world scenario. We know that all of you as CLAS majors are learning a ton of skills and content knowledge in the various classes that you're taking. And you can apply those to the real world through an internship or through a job or maybe through a volunteer opportunity. But a case competition is a really cool additional way to do that in more of a short-term setting, and directly with an employer that you could potentially establish a connection with and have that benefit you in the future. This, in particular, when it comes to the skill sets that you're going to be demonstrating, there's a variety of them, but some of the ones that are particularly key in the case competition context include problem solving and critical thinking, because you're being presented with an issue or a problem, and you have to come up with a solution or suggestion for the company to address that challenge. Communication and teamwork, because you will be working with a number of other students on this project, so that can help you strengthen your skills and demonstrate your skills in those two areas. And then lastly, public speaking, which is definitely going to be a part of the final presentation component of this case competition. Another benefit in relation to your network is that you are, through this competition, going to be able to network with employer representatives from a company that regularly recruits CLAS students. So for those of you who are at any point now in the future looking for a job or an internship, this is a great way to potentially form a connection with a company who hires for those positions, and may give you a great leg up on compared to some of the other candidates who are applying. You also will get to network with some Center for Career Development staff members, including Kristen and myself, and maybe a couple others along the way, and other CLAS students. You're part of a really big group of CLAS students here at UConn. There's over 10,000 of you, and it's impossible really to know all of them. But this case competition does bring a lot of students with a similar interest together, and similar passions, and people who really want to network and connect in this way. So people tend to leave case competitions with connections to other students that they may not have made otherwise. And last but not least, of course, participating in a case competition is a great resume builder. As a part of the sort of final celebration of the case competition, we will be sharing some resources of how to include this experience on your resume and even on your LinkedIn profile, talk about it in interviews. And so this is a great way to exemplify some of the skills that we listed above, or some of your experience kind of in general on your documents as you move forward and apply for additional positions in the future.
So now I'm going to talk just a little bit more about the dates and deadlines that surround this particular case competition. So obviously, as you know, today is our informational info session, which will also be shared on the website. So if you have any friends who you think may be interested in participating and were unable to join us live today, this recording, in addition to being emailed to you, will also be made available on our website within 24 hours. So you can encourage your peers and friends to go ahead and to watch this as well as they see fit. This will be open for the full duration of the team registration period, which will take place between today, April 1st, through April 14th. And you'll be able to register at career.uconn.edu/CLAS case competition. So again, later on this afternoon is when team registration will be open, and you will see that link available on that website. For those who are participating, there will be a mandatory case competition orientation that will be taking place on April 17th from 3:30 to 4:30. That will be a Zoom meeting that will be hosted by our corporate sponsor, who we will introduce in just a few moments. In this case competition, or excuse me, in this case competition orientation session, that is where all participating teams will receive the case that they will be working to solve, have some chances to review it together as teams, as well as ask our corporate sponsor any questions they may see fit in relation to how they may approach solving the case. And again, we want to emphasize that that will be mandatory for all team members to attend, as we will be presenting you with the case during that time. For all participating teams, final presentations will be due by 11:59 p.m. on April 22nd. We will be instituting a Google Drive submission folder where all teams will be able to upload their video presentations, which we'll talk more about in a few moments. But again, those will be due by 11:59 on April 22nd. So therefore, our judges can go in and view all submissions on the actual judging date of April 23rd. Our judges will then review all those submissions, and they will be announcing winners either later that afternoon or the following day, Friday, April 24th. We will be notifying all email participants of the winners, or excuse me, notifying all participants of the winners by email on one of those 2 days. So now that you've been interested in thinking about participation, let's talk a little bit more about the eligibility. So first, as this is a CLAS case competition, all teams must be made up of at least 2 to 4 undergraduate students currently pursuing majors in the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. So again, it doesn't really matter who you're partnered up with. You don't have to be the same major. We encourage that it's actually 2 different majors to make sure that you're really doing yourself an opportunity to share those wealth of skills that come from all aspects of the liberal arts and sciences. So with that, they must represent 2 different majors. And it could even be majors and complementing minors. Minors can be from outside of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences as well. But again, it needs to at least be 2 different majors within the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Teams must have 1 dedicated member who will function as the team captain, and that team captain will be responsible for registering the team as well as submitting the final presentation by that 11:59 p.m. deadline for judging. So you really want to make sure that you're picking somebody that has that the strong organizational and attention to detail skills to make sure that they're following with all guidelines set of the competition. Again, as I mentioned before, all team members must be available to attend the orientation session that we will be facilitating. This way, everybody has equal and fair access to review the case together, start brainstorming their ideas on their approach to solving it, and ask any follow-up questions that they may need at that time. There will not necessarily be any opportunity to ask any additional questions during the actual case work time itself for that whole following week. So making sure that everybody is in attendance for that virtual orientation session will be imperative. As some of you may have seen in the past as you were learning about this particular case competition, we did hold one this past fall in which we did post articles and pictures and blogs about our participants from last fall on our website. So by participating in this semester's competition, all team members must agree to have their names, class years, and majors posted on our webpage, blog, and social media pages as well. This helps to not only showcase your own skills and show your peers what you've been doing, but it also helps the Center for Career Development market specialized events like this to the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences to really let students know that there are opportunities for you in relation to your career development needs as well. Again, we will talk about our sponsor in just a little bit, but we will be partnering with TJX in relation to this case competition this semester. And as a result, TJX has asked that all participants sign a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA as part of their participation in this. just to make sure that any proprietary information related to the case or to the ideas related to TJX's brand and retail procedures are not shared publicly or would prevent any kind of unfair advantage for them in the marketplace. So again, we will be asking participants to sign a non-disclosure agreement during that orientation session as well. And team spots will be limited for this. We will have only an opportunity for 10 teams to participate. So if you do have a team or are working to build a team, we suggest that you take care of that registration process as soon as possible, as only the first 10 teams to register will be guaranteed a place in the competition. So as we mentioned, teams will be made up of 2 to 4 participants with 2 different majors within the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. And while those of you may be familiar with those majors, we also just wanted to provide a quick overview on this slide, just to help remind you of what majors are within the college, to help you think about other people that you may want to think about reaching out to as well if you're still trying to form a team. So I'll give you a minute just to kind of look through this. And again, you can also view all this information on the CLAS webpage as well.
All right, so as Chris briefly mentioned, our employer partner for the Spring 2020 case competition is going to be TJX, which is a global off-price retailer delivering great value to its customers. And some of you may recognize TJX, or at least their logo, because they do operate a number of stores that you might be familiar with, including TJ Maxx, Marshalls, HomeGoods, Sierra, and HomeSense, as well as some websites as well, including tjmaxx.com, marshalls.com, and sierra.com. TJX is a global company. They have more than 4,300 stores in 9 countries. They have 4 e-commerce sites and over 270,000 associates worldwide. So they're a huge company, and I also know that they have a lot of locations in Connecticut, and they also do recruit pretty heavily through the University of Connecticut. They attend our career fairs. They partner with us on events like this. So we're really excited to have them as our partner for this case competition. And while we are not going to disclose the whole case to you right now, because that would be a little bit of an unfair advantage, we did want to give you a heads up about what the theme of the case is going to be, just so that you can make an informed decision about who to maybe invite to be a part of your team, and prepare your mindset to approach the competition. So the case theme entails kind of these two separate sub-themes. You will be working for a retail company focused on carrying a wide selection of items that appeal to the needs and preferences of young adults. The company wants to develop a visual merchandising strategy that increases sales of back-to-college needs and products. So just to kind of summarize that, you will be working in a retail space, and that retail company wants to sell more related to their back-to-college supply over the summer when students are getting ready to go back to college, and they're looking to you as college students to provide your perspective on how they might be able to do that based on how they physically set up the displays in the stores, and kind of allocate their merchandise in order to do that most effectively. And like we mentioned earlier, you will get a lot more detail when the case is presented during orientation, but this is kind of some high-level theme elements to get you started thinking about what you might want to do.
So now let's talk a little bit more about the case competition format, to give you a better idea of how you might start to put all those ideas together and present them for judging. So first, again, at the mandatory orientation session, you will be provided with a 2-page written case developed by TJX. And as we mentioned, representatives from TJX will be available to answer any questions you have during that time period. Again, any opportunities to ask questions after that orientation period will be severely limited, if accepted at all. So we really do encourage all team members to be present during that as well. After the orientation session, you will then have approximately 1 week for your team to do their research, as well as develop a plan to address the questions posed in the case. After you've put that together, you will need to create a video presentation that demonstrates your plan and presents it to the judges. This could be in any format you choose, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation, a Prezi video presentation, anything that aligns with that. We will be sending, or excuse me, we'll be providing more information during that orientation session about appropriate formats. But again, a video presentation that outlines this information and clearly and concisely presents your results to the judges will be required. Again, you will have to have that video uploaded by a provided Google Drive folder by 11:59 p.m. on April 22nd. Final presentations should only be 10 minutes in length. There will be a strict limit on that. And judges from TJX will take the presentations, they will watch through them, and then they will either notify the Center for Career Development of the winners, and we will then notify winners by email, or they may even notify winners directly, but one way or another, email confirmation will be coming from somebody related to the competition. In thinking about your final presentations, as I mentioned, they will be a strict 10 minutes in length. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping yourselves accountable to that, because any presentation that exceeds that time limit will be disqualified. You will also be expected to cite any sources that you use to help develop your strategy. Whatever format you choose to cite the sources will be completely up to you, but you do want to make sure that you're including those sources somewhere in your presentation to help give us an idea of where that strategy came from or what resources you use to inform the decisions you made. The video presentation, again, must be submitted by 11:59 on April 22nd. Any submissions that come in after that deadline will be disqualified. So again, you want to make sure you and your team are paying attention to time limitations and really keeping yourselves on track for that. All team members must have a visual or speaking part in the final presentation. Given that the fall semester's presentation was in person, it was easy to make sure that all participants and all team members had an active role, as they all got to physically stand and present in front of the judges the day of the competition itself. Knowing that this semester's format has moved to a virtual format, we really want to make sure that everybody is contributing equally and has an active role in the presentation that's being submitted. So again, therefore, everybody must have some form of visual or speaking component to the final presentation itself. You are also able to include any additional complementing handouts that you think help illustrate the points of your presentation or provide additional context as to where you came up with your findings and results. One-page handout, so one page front and back, will be allowed to be submitted with your final presentation, but they are certainly not required. If you choose to develop this handout, you must also be sure that you are saving it and uploading it with your final presentation, with the file name having your team's name included. That way we can really make sure that the appropriate handout is being attached with the appropriate video presentation. So as for the judging, the panel of judges will score each presentation based on the following criteria. Lisa briefly talked about this a little bit before, but again, relevance. So to the degree of which the plan addressed all elements of the case, how well is your team really taking in your customer, in this case TJX, how is it really taking into mind their needs in relation to their business strategies? As well as to their customers as well. Practicality, the degree to which the plan could be implemented with reasonable sources. So is this something that could be immediately implemented in a business functionality, or is this something that would require additional resources that may not currently be available? Third is creativity, the degree to which the team balanced ideas generated from research and original ideas. We want to make sure that you're not necessarily just copying and pasting other ideas that have been done in the past, or just kind of slightly tweaking what's been done. So really think about what's been done, but how could it be improved upon? Or how do you put your unique approach to it as either a CLAS student or just as an individual consumer yourself? And then lastly, inclusivity, the degree to which the plan takes into account all stakeholders who may be impacted. So again, this is not only your business customer, but also the actual retail customers themselves. This could also impact any kind of shareholders, the larger community, different individual identities of customers. So really make sure that you are being inclusive in the way that you think about planning your strategy. All teams will receive a final score based on the average from all judges. And again, as we mentioned, there will be first, second, and third place winners that will be announced in an email no later than Friday, April 24th. So for all your hard work and the great submissions, TJX will be awarding prizes to the first, second, and third place teams in the form of gift cards to their stores. There will be denominations provided to each member of the team between $10 and $50 respectively, again, to those first, second, and third place winners. In addition, TJX will be providing $5 gift cards to all competition participants as well, as thank you for your great ideas. Those gift cards will be mailed to participants after the competition. So during the mandatory orientation, we will also be collecting your preferred mailing addresses as well. And again, we already talked about these, but because the deadlines and dates will be held to very tightly. Again, want to put this slide up just to again remind you the registration period will open today and run through April 14th. Your teams will be notified no later than April 15th if you are participating, and you'll be able to submit those team registrations at career.uconn.edu/CLAS case competition. Again, please mark your calendars for the mandatory orientation, which will be completed on April 17th at 3:30 by Zoom meeting hosted by TJX. And then final presentations will be due April 22nd at 11:59 p.m. I know we've said that many, many times throughout this presentation, but we can't say it enough that April 22nd, 11:59 p.m. is when all presentations will be due. So with that, we will open it up to any questions. Again, you can use the pane on the side of your window there to type in any questions. Lisa is monitoring that, and we will be happy to answer any that may come in.
All right. So Chris, the first question came in, so I'm going to just go ahead and read that out loud. If I want to participate, but I do not yet have a team, can you help us form a team?
So this was something that was addressed in the past as well too. We don't necessarily have a list of individuals that we can pair up yet, but we do realize that there are some people that might have difficulty doing that, especially given the virtual nature of the campus in general right now. So while we can't necessarily form teams for every individual, if you don't have other team members to participate, I'd encourage you to send me your name and contact information in a separate email. I'll put my email address up on the screen right now. You can see it at the bottom, kristen.soprano@uconn.edu. You can send me an email, and then if additional inquiries come in for people who are interested in forming a team but don't have other people to connect with, I can certainly put you in connection with each other. But that would be to the level of the extent of which we'd be able to do that.
Great, thanks so much, Chris. There is another question that came through. You mentioned earlier that there was some information on the website about last year or last semester's case competition. Would you maybe be able to pull that up really quickly and just demo the website for us briefly?
Absolutely. Let me just get there for you. So again, if you go to career.uconn.edu/CLAS case competition, you'll see all the information about the case that you need here. There's a repeat again of all the team eligibility requirements that we discussed, the case competition format, the judging criteria, the dates again if you need them, and then here is all the information about the fall 2019 case competition, which was sponsored by Cigna. So again, you can read a little bit more about what the case summary was here, and then you can see links directly to our winning teams as well as our runner-up. You can see the individuals that participated in this, and you can also click on the links to view the presentations that were submitted as winners to give you an idea of what some of your other peers have done and some information that they put together as well to, again, help inform the decisions you make. Again, these are two very different case structures, both formatting wise as well as sponsor wise. So what you see in relation to the type of information that's presented on in some of these presentations are going to be drastically different than what you may choose to do in relation to a presentation for TJX, because we're talking about healthcare and retail, two very different industries. But at least seeing some of the thoughts that went into those presentation developments will help potentially guide you in what you choose to do for your presentations this semester.
Thank you, Chris, for demoing that. And just one thing I would add really quickly is you'll notice that the sample presentations on the website are PowerPoints, whereas the format that we are asking you for this semester is videos. So just keep that in mind. Because the competition was in person last semester, the format of your presentation will differ a little bit from the examples that you do see on the website. All right, there are no additional questions that have come up at this point, so we'll just hang on for another minute or so to see if anybody does type anything additional into the questions box. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about today or anything that we didn't cover that you might be interested in knowing about, feel free to type those in now.
And again, if no questions are coming to mind now, I will leave this slide up for just a few more seconds, again, with my contact information. So again, if you're having trouble forming teams or you have more questions about the logistics of the competition itself, you can always email me directly at kristen.soprano@uconn.edu. I would encourage you, though, as you think about the uniqueness of the telecommuting environment that we are in right now, think about reaching out to peers, whether they're in your classes. This would be a great way for all of you and your classmates, whether it's within your major or just other courses within CLAS, to really try to stay connected and keep that sense of UConn community. So I'd really encourage you to think about if you have any message boards related to your classes or majors, reach out to them. If there's any student organizations within your majors or within CLAS that you're a part of, those are great opportunities to try and solicit participants as well.
All right, it doesn't look like any additional questions have come in, so I think we can go ahead and wrap up.
Great. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining today. Again, this information will be available to you on our website later on this afternoon, and the registration link will also go live later this afternoon as well, too. And again, feel free to reach out to me with any direct questions you may have that come up after the conclusion of this presentation. Thank you again very much for joining. I hope all of you stay safe and healthy during this time, and we look forward to hopefully seeing or talking to more of you at the orientation session in just over a week.